Hello friends, my name is Jess and welcome back to my channel, Books Past Bedtime. Elvis, do you want to say hi? Say hi. So today we're going to be doing a video inspired by my creative queen, Chandler Ainsley. Some of my favorite videos of hers are her list videos where she takes a Goodreads list or a BuzzFeed list and she reads all the books on that list and ranks them. Lists that have 20 and 30 books on them are a bit overambitious for me. I have one video that's a list video that has like 20 things on it that I've been working through for like a year. And I'm still not done. I decided to take the concept and like find a shorter list of things. So that is what we're doing today. I got on Goodreads and was scrolling through the list and I found this perfect one. It was a list where Alice Oseman, the author of Heartstopper, Radio Silence, and Loveless, all books that I absolutely love, recommended her favorite queer graphic novels. I think this article maybe came out around the time that Heartstopper, the TV series, was announced. So it was kind of celebrating that. I thought that was just perfect. I love graphic novels. Heartstopper in particular is one of my favorites, so I felt like Alice Oseman probably had great recs, and spoiler alert, she definitely did. Let's just hop right into talking about what exactly she recommended and my personal thoughts on the books, and then at the very end I will try my best to rank these, although it's going to be very difficult because I really enjoyed almost all of them. But let's get into it. So prior to starting reading for this list video, I had actually already read 4 of the 10 books that Alice recommends. Prior to starting filming this video, I had read Spinning by Tilly Walden, The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang, Bloom by Kevin Panetta and Savannah Ganuccio, as well as Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Mariko Tamaki and Rosemary Valero O'Connell. So I had read those 4 prior to starting. I really enjoyed all of them. So then I had to set off to read the remaining 6, and now at this juncture, I have the right word, probably not. I have completed all 10 of these books, so let's just get into my thoughts on them. So the first graphic novel that she recommended was Spinning by Tilly Walden, and it is basically a autobiographical memoir about Tilly Walden's childhood, particularly the aspects of her childhood that centered around figure skating and kind of how the intense and demanding world of ice skating influenced her coming to terms with her sexuality, finding out she was gay, coming out, having her first initial experiences with sexuality. And y'all, let me tell you, this book is heartbreaking. I sobbed so hard. It's kind of difficult for you to form that emotional connection with a graphic novel, but Spinning by Tilly Walden was an exception to that rule. It was absolutely incredible. It was so good. I absolutely loved every aspect of it, and I just thought Tilly's story was so relatable in many ways, regardless of sexuality, especially because I grew up doing gymnastics and cheerleading, which have very similar kind of expectations that are put on you as ice skating does. I related to it in that way, and also just coming to terms with who you are as a person and being a teenager and all of those kinds of themes. Very well executed in this book. I really loved all elements of it. The art style is absolutely beautiful as well. It's kind of like purple themed, so I really like this one. It's a 5-star read for me. The next book that Alice recommends is The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. Now this almost feels more of a middle grade style graphic novel, but it is so cute, and honestly all ages will get something out of it. This is actually one I've read a while ago and I've been recommending on my channel quite a lot. So this book basically follows our main character, Prince Sebastian. Prince Sebastian enjoys cross-dressing and he puts on dresses at night and goes out on the town, and no one knows his secret except for his dressmaker, who makes these dresses for him, and they're like best friends. And this is a just really wholesome, cute read about identity and art and friendship, and folks, it really doesn't get much better than this. This is like a grade A S tier graphic novel. It's amazing. I'm pretty sure I gave this one 5 stars as well. Next, she recommended Our Dreams at Dusk by Yuki Kamitani, and this was actually the first manga that I've ever read in my life, so that was a fun experience, and I'm really glad that I was pushed out of my comfort zone a little bit with this video. I've always wanted to check out manga. I have so many friends that enjoy manga, and I feel like this was a really great place to start because I absolutely loved this. This story basically follows a high schooler named Tasuku Kaname, and he is coming to terms with being gay. He is getting bullied at school. He's not out yet, but kids are calling him slurs and making fun of him for being gay. And he's having a really hard time with it, and he actually has some suicidal thoughts. But then he meets this girl who kind of saves him in a way. She shows him a place in a community of other LGBTQ people who he can connect to and relate to, form friendships with, and that kind of help him come to terms with his own personal identity. And so this is another story just about identity and friendship, and it was so wholesome and sweet. And this is only the first in a series, and I think we might get more of a little bit of romance later on, as there was kind of a romantic interest hinted at in this book. I really enjoyed this one. It was a super quick read. It was also pretty emotional. I really loved the other characters in this book. I can't remember her name, but there is a girl in here who is a lesbian, and her and her wife are just the cutest, most wholesome, sweet characters ever. I really loved them a lot. This book was just, it was great. I really liked it, and I probably would not have read it if it weren't for this list video, so I'm really grateful for that. I really enjoyed this one a lot. Next, I want to talk about Bloom by Kevin Panetta and Savannah Ganuccio. I don't know if I'm saying her last name correctly, but this is a really cute standalone graphic novel, and it follows these two boys who work at a bakery. One boy does not want to work at the bakery. His parents are the owners of this bakery, and he feels kind of forced and pigeonholed into working there when what he really wants to do is travel around and tour with his band. Then the other boy chooses to work there, and he's just like the sweetest little cinnamon roll. Like, he loves working at the bakery. It's like his dream. That's what he wants to do. And then they like form this unlikely friendship because one boy is really bitter about being there, but the other boy is just so like positive and sweet that they can't help but like forming a friendship and a romance. And this book is super cute, and the art style is stunning. It's like blue washed, so it's really calming and just lovely to look at. This one I didn't like quite as much as some of the other ones on the list. I just found our main character, who's like the son of the owners of the bakery, he was very like self-centered and petulant and just kind of rude at times, and I had a lot of trouble connecting to him and like liking him very much. I thought our other character maybe like deserved a little bit better than him. So then, since I wasn't 100% behind the romance, I found it a little hard to be 100% behind the book in general, because that's kind of the point of it. But I'm pretty sure I still rated this one like 4 stars. It might be more like a 3.5-star read. I did really enjoy it, but it wasn't a favorite, and it's not on par with the rest of the books on this list, I don't think. Next is Electrum, and this is actually an anthology, a graphic novel anthology with numerous different stories from numerous different authors, but it was edited by Dershing Helmer. This and many other of the books I believe on this list are independently published. Can you not do that, please? The money you use to purchase this book is going directly to the authors, who are all people of color, because this anthology is specifically about the lived experiences of the authors in being a mixed race. Now, some of these comics are fiction, some are nonfiction, memoirs, some are contemporary, some are even like fantasy, science fiction. There is a little bit of everything mixed into this graphic novel, which made it amazing. And many of the stories do focus on teenagers and young adults. And I just thought it was such an interesting and lovely project. And I really loved all the stories in it, because I feel like a lot of times in anthologies you have something that's like really stand out or that you really didn't like, but in this one I felt like it made total sense as like an entire picture. And there were some stories that I don't know, I really loved all the stories in this book. I can't think of any. There was one that kind of confused me a little bit, but I didn't dislike it for that. And I think this is a really important project, and I'm so glad that this list video introduced me to it, because I think it's super important. If you have the means, if you're interested, definitely go out and purchase this book and support these artists. I just thought it was such a well done, beautiful book, and I just thought it was really important and really cool to hear all of these people's stories, how all their different cultures can come together to make one wonderful person. You know, I don't know. Getting a little cheesy, but this was really good. I liked this a lot, and I would definitely recommend. 5 stars. Next is another Tillie Walden book, and that is On a Sunbeam, and this is a science fiction book following our main character, Mia. Mia is kind of an outcast. She kind of gets sent on this trip, this expedition, as kind of like a punishment or like a work assignment or something, but basically she gets assigned to this team of people who go around space and rebuild crumbling, decaying buildings for safety reasons seasons, or somebody else will come in and repurpose them for something else. So it's like an epic space opera set out in space. Mia is having a lot of trouble because I think one of the reasons she was sent on this work assignment, she was kicked out of her previous school. And at this school, she had this girlfriend who she really loved, and they have lost touch. Her girlfriend, I think, was also sent back to live on her home planet. And so one of Mia's goals is to find her and see where she's at, and just, if she wants to come with her, to come with her. If not, that's okay. But she just wants to talk to her and have some kind of closure for their relationship. She tells everyone on this team the story. They agree to help her out. There's a couple different like storylines that kind of converge. So this is a really cool graphic novel. The work in it is very like ethereal. The art's incredible, honestly, and beautiful, and the colors used are beautiful. I just kind of wanted a little bit more from the story in this one. I think I was a little bit confused about things, and I thought some things happened a little bit conveniently. So this probably wasn't my favorite, but it was still like excellent and a 4-star read. I really loved it. It's just hard when its competition are all like 5-star amazing books, you know? All right, next on the list is A Long Exposure by Cam or Mars Hayward. And similar to Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, Long Exposure was like an ongoing webcomic that was published for free online. So if you're interested in this one, I'll leave the link down below. It's completely free to read online, the entire thing, and it is finished. Goodreads, it says it's ongoing, but it did finish up sometime last year, I believe, so it is complete. But I was a little bit worried when I started reading this book for this video. I was like, oh god, it's not going to be complete, and I'm going to be like, what's going to happen next? I'm going to have to keep up with it. But I got to the end and it was done, and it was great. I absolutely loved this so much. Basically, we're following our main character, Jonah, and Jonah is kind of like a chubby kid. He gets bullied a bit. I think he lives with his mom and stepdad, who also foster children. I don't think he himself is a foster child, but I could be wrong about that. But that's Jonah's situation. And then Jonah's like middle school bully, Mitch, turns back up at their high school. He wasn't going there for a little bit, but he shows back up, and Jonah's like, oh god, he's gonna make my life miserable. And they actually get paired up for a project together in a science class. And Jonah's really not looking forward to it, but there's not much he can do. So he and Mitch go out to work on this science project, and they actually stumble across some secret government testing facility in the woods, and they fall into like this water that's around this testing facility and develop superpowers. So they have superpowers, and they are kind of trying to like hide this, and there's somebody from the government testing site following them around. It really kind of brings them together, but they definitely form a friendship, and then later on a little romance. And it's not really heavy bully romance. He really doesn't bully him pretty much at all in this book, because sometimes that can be a little bit iffy for me. And we get Mitch's backstory and learn like why the way he was bullying Jonah in middle school because he didn't know how to deal with having feelings for him, which not acceptable, but makes sense. At least he's not still doing that now. Whatever. It was really cute. I really liked their relationship. It just was like Mitch just thought the sun shone out of Jonah's ass, which is like my favorite kind of romance. It was so great. I really liked the superpower elements and the kind of like fantasy science fiction stuff that was going on. It gave it a really good plot. The plot was excellent, as was the romance and the characters. I really liked that we had both, and I feel like this definitely came to a very natural conclusion. I felt very satisfied at the end. This is a 5-star read for me. I'm so glad I read this, and it was excellent. I loved it. It was great. Next is Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Mariko Tamaki and Rosemary Valero O'Connell. This book is basically following this toxic high school relationship between these two girls, in which, as the title says, Laura Dean keeps breaking up with her main character, and it is definitely kind of an emotionally abusive, it is an emotionally abusive relationship, which I think is a super interesting theme to explore, especially in YA. We really don't get a lot of like representation of emotionally abusive relationships, particularly not queer emotionally abusive relationships, and it is important to highlight the fact that is very much possible and an actual problem that a lot of people face. I appreciated this book for doing that. It definitely feels very much relatable to when you were in high school trying to figure out who you were in a relationship and what you wanted out of a relationship, how you deserve to be treated. All of those things are things that you figure out in high school, and I feel like this book captured that very well. I really enjoyed reading this one. I think it's very important. Also, the art style is beautiful. It's like black and white with splashes of pink, which is like my aesthetic. I think this one's really good. It's pretty controversial. I don't think everyone likes it. I liked it overall. I read it kind of too long ago to go into exact details of like what I didn't like and what I did like, but I'm pretty sure I gave it 4 stars when I read it. I definitely liked it, and a lot more than other people did, and I do think it's a very important read. Overall, I think it's more good than bad, so I would also recommend this one. Next is The Times I Knew I Was Gay by Eleanor Cruz. This is a graphic memoir and describes Eleanor's growing up and coming of age and realizing who she was as a person, her sexuality, and coming out. I really liked this one. It was quite different from a lot of the other ones on this list. There were some other memoirs, but just in the art style, it almost felt more like a children's book in that it had an image and it had text. It wasn't like a comic panel with like action going on, you know? It was more just like a drawing and like text at the top. There was not like dialogue or explaining what's going on kind of thing. So I thought that was pretty cool and unique, and I hadn't really seen that done before. But also overall, I just really loved this one. It made me cry. I think it hit a little too close to home in some parts. This one definitely probably the most relatable to me out of all of these. I think it's so important to read tons of different queer people's experiences because everyone's experience is so different, and I just don't think even queer people realize that. I feel like a lot of times you're kind of pushed into this narrative of what other people like think should happen, what other people think you should go through, and what other people think you should feel, but really it is so different for everyone. Like for example, Eleanor came out and then she went back in the closet and then she came out again and like had this kind of really difficult time accepting who she was and understanding who she was and what she wanted. She dated a lot of men. Like there's just lots of before actually realizing who she was and what she wanted. That's such a valid experience, and I feel like so many queer experiences like that get erased. So I think this book was very, very important, and I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was so, so well done, and it was also pretty funny. There were some times I laughed out loud. It was great. I really would 100% recommend this one. Maybe my favorite? I don't know. I loved it a lot. It was really good. And last, but certainly not least, Check Please by Ngozi Kazu. I loved this one. I actually read this one in a 24-hour reading vlog that I posted in August, I think. If you watched that, you know I absolutely loved this book. It was so good. So this is the first installment in a graphic novel series, and it follows our main character who is a freshman in college. It's his first year of college, and he goes out for the hockey team. I think he was an ice skater in his past, not really a hockey player, but he wants to learn, and he actually works really hard and does pretty good, and he lives in the hockey house with the rest of the team. It's almost like a frat house moment, but like without being in a frat. He has so many other wholesome hobbies, like he runs a YouTube channel and he likes to bake, and he's always baking things for all of his hockey friends, and it's just so sweet. And then he and the captain of the hockey team have this little romance together. It's so good. It was so cute and just like a fun, wholesome read. I loved it, and the art's beautiful. I need to get my hands on the second one immediately. This was a 5-star read for me. It wasn't as emotional as some of the other ones, but it definitely was really cute and fun, and I absolutely loved it. Those were the 10 graphic novels that Alice Oseman recommends. Now I'm going to try my darndest to rank them. So let's see. This is going to be really hard because I loved all of them pretty much. I think my bottom would be Bloom by Kevin Panetta and Savannah Ganuccio. I think that one is my least favorite. Let's see. And then I would say right above that would be Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. And then, this is so hard. The rest of these books are like all 4.5 or 5 stars. How am I gonna rank these? I think that On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden is probably next, just because that wasn't a full 5 stars. Now the rest of them are full 5 stars. So, I don't know. This is impossible. I think maybe next I would put Electrum, and this was a 5-star read, but I think it's a 5-star read that I probably wouldn't reread, so I'm gonna put it there. I think next I would probably put Our Dreams at Dusk. Again, I really loved this one, but I feel like it wasn't as fully developed since it's the first in like a long manga series, so I think that one will go next. Then I think maybe Check Please would go next, and The Prince and the Dressmaker, just because those are less emotional and they're more just fun reads, you know? And then in third place, I would probably put Spitting by Tilly Walden. If I had read this one more recently, it might be up higher, but I don't remember it as well because I read it a while ago, so I think it's gonna get third place. And then I think The Times I Knew I Was Gay is gonna get second place, and Long Exposure is gonna get first place. I loved that freaking book. It was so good. So that is my ranking, subject to change. I loved all of these books. The lowest rated one is like a 4-star, 3.5 star. And that is my video reading and ranking all of Alice Oseman's favorite queer queer YA graphic novels. I had a great time doing this video. I'm so glad it pushed me to read some books that I might not have read as soon or that I might not have read at all if not for this list. I think Alice Oseman is so talented and I'm very grateful for this recommendation list. I definitely would recommend every single book on this list as well. Check them out if you're interested at all. I'll link where I got everything down below because some of them are kind of hard to access. In case you're interested in something specific, follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.